Hello, hello. Thank you very much for coming to Stone Soup tonight. Thank you very much for watching this. If you are watching this on the YouTube channel, which we upload to YouTube on Thursday morning. You can catch previous episodes. We've been filming Stone Soup via Zoom since May of 2020. And we've been gathering on every week ever since then. Well, more or less. I was out last week due to illness, so I want to thank everyone for their well wishes. I gave more details on the Zoom call before we started recording. If you want the gross deets, you'll have to sign up for that and actually be on these live and get bonus material, so to speak, all the B-sides. But if you want to catch us via this YouTube channel, we very much appreciate that. And if you're joining here for the first time or the first time in a long time, welcome or welcome back. And we hope you're able to spread the word and bring more people in. A lot has happened, and I officially called this an open mic vigil in light of Ruth Bader Ginsburg passing away this past Friday. And now 2020 said, hold our beer once again. And Breonna Taylor's the police who killed Breonna Taylor are not going to be charged, which a lot of people had foreseen, given the anti-protest measures that the police were already putting up at least 2 days beforehand. So we are just going to trudge. The material you have maybe about that may not be. Whether or not it is, you're definitely welcome here. And I do encourage you to check out oddballmagazine.com, where we have published we have been publishing Ruth Bader Ginsburg poems since Sunday, published by a number of people. Just off the top of my head, John Stickney, who's here, Joshua Corwin, who I'm hoping is here later. Patricia Kerrigan's going to be coming in probably sometime tomorrow. We're going to and we've had just many more. A lot of people who are for the first time joining Oddball Magazine. And of course, I want to give props to Eric N. Peterson, who has been the illustrator doing most of the political cartoons or the pun cartoons with Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And I hopefully have one more up my sleeve to ask him to do. Though the other ones he did weren't my idea. I just said, what can you do about Ruth Bader Ginsburg? And he basically said, just give me a few minutes. And he came out with at least 6 ready to publish illustrations. So I appreciate him doing that pro bono for us. But Eric, if you ever visit his Facebook page, is an insatiable drawer. And I highly recommend you friend him on Facebook. If I have links to his name, to his Facebook page on almost everything we published with his drawings on it on my Facebook. So very easy to join. And true fact, he's down south now. He was actually a Somerville, Massachusetts native. So that was a little something surprising to have. It was nice that we had that connection. So moving forward, we're going to get started, and I'm going to bring out the first person who joined us tonight. And she is unmuted as of this time. She had an amazing feature, she's had amazing open mic slots, not just here, especially for Stone Soup's 49th anniversary this past May 1st. She also had an amazing micro feature slot for the Boston Poetry Marathon, which did its first all online extravaganza this past August. And I thank all of you who listened to that or have checked out the YouTube channels after the fact. Hi, Patricia. And I'm going to bring up now the lovely and always illustrious and always honorable Carol Weston.
Oh, hello. This is a kind of a short story.
Okay.
Barbarossa, named for his red beard, Barbarossa, Putton Cove, Wolf Dog, Weston. My father shot the tennis ball down the hall, designed to carry the rainwater down the driveway to the sea. When it came out the other end, Barbarossa, Putton Cove, Wolf Dog, Weston, our brown poodle, picked the ball up and carried it down to the beach. When Barbarossa of the red beard was old, He had bumps all over his body called cancer, and he died. Lydia, the linguist, my older sister, the first time I ever saw her cry. Lydia, age 17, beautiful, although she did not know it, stumbled on the step between the kitchen and the living room and dropped the cake in Baba's honor on the floor. In my diary, I drew 2 bleeding red tears. Baba died today. That's all.
Wow. I'm unable to unmute people for some odd reason due to some change in Zoom. So if you want to say something to Carol, definitely unmute yourself.
Thank you, Carol.
Here we go.
Oh,
That's great.
thank you.
Beautiful, Carol.
I'm going to thank you as well, Carol, and then put you on hold. Not put you on hold, put you on mute. For those of us who are joining us by phone, if you want to be unmuted, you press *6. But for now, let's go to one of the earliest people to join us tonight and one of the more stalwart regulars at the Zoom gatherings and also a Zoom meeting holder as himself, given his educational pursuits. Let's welcome up Mr. Bill Lewis.
Why, thank you, Chadford. It is such an honor to be here. And hello, fellow human beings. Oh my God, a little heart thingamajiggy. I like heart thingamajiggies.
And Patricia Kerrigan was doing her best impersonation of a Muppet in her excitement of having you read.
Oh.
She won't do it now because I put the attention on her, but oh well. It was adorable.
I never got to see Sesame Street. I was too old, so I don't actually know what a Muppet does.
That's blasphemy.
We'll let that one go. I, of course, have been, oh dear. I have conflicts with many of my peers on the left in many different ways. I have been, in thousands of marches and rallies, and we often agree on many things, but there are things we don't agree on. I have been on so many marches for so many people who've been killed, and we have a great march, and then everybody goes home and nothing happens, and nothing happens, and nothing happens, and 10,000 people in the streets, and they all go home. And they say good things, and they say, we're going to get the government to change everything for us, but we have to go home. So, yeah, that's me. So, the Black Panthers didn't ask for permission. They shouldered their arms and marched to their mission. If you beat up your girlfriend or got in a fight, they paid you a visit to help set you right. They wrote no petitions when the kids needed food. They set up a school breakfast right there on the hood. When you walk past the homeless, do you stop and cower? Well, then do something about it. You have the power. Changing foreign policy, that's pretty rough. But helping your neighbor, that is enough. How marvelous it is, Anne Frank once observed, that no one need wait to improve the world.
Thank you, Bill. I'm going to bring up next
Nice,
to,
Bill.
whoops. I'm going to bring you up next to, Mr. Eric Tate. Are you ready to go?
Yep, I'm ready.
Super.
Just a second. Herd immunity. No vaccine needed. Do nothing and allow the virus to spread unchecked through the population. Herd immunity, coined by cattle ranchers foregoing expensive inoculations in favor of rolling the dice with disease. Herd immunity implies acceptable death, which may be a viable concept regarding cattle. However, a projected billion human lives lost to coronavirus would seem to many too steep a price to pay. Notwithstanding the percentage of the population on board with the thinning of the herd, a cavalier attitude towards the suffering of others, which has become the trending sentiment, supplies humanity with a telling gauge, not only the extent to which our collective sense supplies humanity with a telling gauge of not only the extent to which our collective sense of empathy has eroded, but also a perception of what it will take to make our way back. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Eric. That was great.
Thank you.
We have next, Mr. John Wezek. You are up next, sir.
Okay, let's change the glasses here. Instructions for exile. Where will you go now that sanity's hoarse voice is barely a whisper and the house that Reagan built crumbles on its foundations of wishful thinking? Take the gifts your nation gave you, sow a thought, a poem, or a book in the lining of your coat and join the diaspora of reason. Leave your countrymen to their chosen fates. Help them by sheltering language and meaning far away. Flee the nation of black lung monkey trials and thalidomide babies where dime store preachers rants on the AM dial drown out the screams from the torture chambers. Flee the New Deal that became the same old deal. Flee the $8 an hour Walmart American dream. Flee the crowded jails, the union busters, pregnant teens, draping hopes on rusty coat hangers, and the wars declared to win popularity contents. Before silver wings cut cumulus clouds and sever your past, look down at what you've lost. Weep for the smell of bacon and eggs on a crisp Colorado morning. Weep for the cold steel wind off Lake Michigan, for backyard barbecues, corn on the cob, and lightning bugs on a warm summer night. Weep for tree houses and tire swings. Weep for drive-in movies and first cars with wide back seats. Weep for ruby-throated hummingbirds and fresh tortillas on an Austin night. Weep for the veterans sipping orange crush, their uniforms threaded with needle points of shrapnel. America has wasted so much.
I like that a lot. Thank you, John. And up next, someone who I hope is listening by the phone. She's been our other by phone participant almost since we started these weekly gatherings by Zoom. And all she has to do to be heard is press *6, and then she'll be ready to go. Brought to us by way of her friend, mutual friend, Carol Weston. Let's bring up next Nancy Dodson. Just press *6 and we'll get started.
Can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Fierce weather. Orange red fire leaps higher and hotter. Thousands of homes and millions of forestry acres lie in ruins. Humans and animal lore die horribly. I protest because where's mercy and love? Fires are lit by storms on dry land. Also accuse people of setting fires. In the Bible, Job loses everything and suffers for a long time. Job has his fortune regained because of his faith in God. Help restore their comfort, Lord. Blessings, we hope.
Thank you, Nancy.
Nancy.
Nice job. I'm going to mute you again. You can come in for the second round if you have a poem. We're going to go to next, John Stickney.
Thank you, Chad. I'm very happy. I have a couple of Ruth Bader Ginsburg tribute poems in Oddball magazine that was printed today. Thank you, and Jason. Gender equality. Who'd understand your sense of equality better than over 50% of the population? Thanks.
Thank you, John. And now we're going to the new person on the open mic, who I don't believe has been with us before. If I'm incorrect, I apologize. But let's welcome now. Ask her to unmute herself and bring her to the mic, Miss Deanna.
Hi, I'm sorry. I should have told you in the beginning. I came as a listener appreciator today. And I did read once about 3 weeks ago, if you recall.
Okay.
Maybe 4 weeks ago. I don't remember.
Understood. You don't have a spontaneous reading in you right now?
No.
No problem.
No, I don't. Sorry.
I figured we're talking. Why not?
I would. You know what I have in me right now? A moment of silence for Ruth,
Gotcha.
if we could.
Well spoken. Thanks, Dee.
Thank you.
And with that, we'll bring ourselves to Ethan Mackler, who might ask me to pause the recording.
Okay, not this time, Chad.
Okay.
Hopefully it will go well.
Sounds good.
Okay, can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay. The piece I was going to read was on my laptop, and I'm having some trouble with it. So I was just going to do a quick instrumental. If we could consider it a tone poem, would that be okay?
Mm-hmm. That was the most seamless recording we've done, Ethan. That's great.
Thank you.
And thanks for joining. Thanks for doing that, and thanks for joining us as always. We're going to bring ourselves now to Jen Rowe, who said she was going to read tonight.
Yes, and
Yay.
I think you could probably hear we were using our earphones and we didn't have to. This is a poem written for me and a young woman, Joyce. We're doing voter registration outside the church
Oh, good.
every Thursday, and This is from Carol Jean Smith, who's a poet in Watertown. And Joyce is a young intern at the cathedral from California, but she's from Korea. Okay, this is called Killing the Dragon for Joyce and Jan. John the Divine would not recognize the swords we are using today to beat down Satan under our feet. They are quite small, do require some training from the early years up, and can be hidden easily on one's person. Oh, look, 2 women are using theirs right now in the public square and are sharing them with others who are lining up at a table. A sign on the table reads, "Register to vote." These swords leave a trail of ink, not blood. Thank you.
Thanks as always, Jan. Good to have you on. And up next is an individual who has somehow left his chair. That always happens, doesn't it? He was advertising his, I guess, his upcoming collection. I think he has a couple coming up, but he was advertising via his profile pic a collection called the Id Poems, and I'm hoping he can hear me right now. And we can have him go through a poem or two. If not, okay. Oh, here he is. Ladies and gentlemen, CCR Chagra.
Staying on mute. Okay, hi, how are you, everyone? I heard you. I heard that moment of silence, too. That was a beautiful poem. Infant and human and mortal are we. Oh, to see the soul undying in the fleeting decay of it all. As the child dead is not, so we are driven deep into fear's wonder. And heartache itself is a mystery of bitters. Yet the tastes of life are so, and so we are to face its living deaths. Come to the funeral of we are all born here. Attend to lost lives, which gives meaning to our hands, our missing reasons lost and found. Bye-bye to our needs to hold grief, the twist of storms that sink our wrecked moorings and bring to us days and thanks for life passing. And so from the sockets of our skulls, still aging, facing how human and mortal tides dry, a branch of hope comes, a touch of growth is. The leaves of a newborn time spring, so must we, and so must we in our unending human infancy. And I'd like to dedicate that to Ruth.
Thank you, CC.
And thank you. And Patricia, I'm doing cooking in the background. I'm trying to be here and don't miss it and eat at the same time. So thank you.
And up next, to complete this this first round robin round, we're going to bring up Oddball's columnist and one of Stone Soup's longest standing regulars. Check out his column, It's All One Thing, every Thursday morning at 11 o'clock at oddballmagazine.com. And let's bring up next, and to finish this first round, Mr. James Van Loy.
Okay. So I wanted to read this piece called Freedom 2016 because I kind of like to contrast what's happening to what was happening. And so this is a piece called Freedom 2016. It's a little long, but I think it flows along. A lawyer, apparently disgruntled with his law firm, shot 9 people in Houston. He turned out to be a rabid young alt-right racist. It hardly made a ripple in the mainstream deluge after all the uproar after the terrorist bombings in New York City and New Jersey and the knifing in Minnesota, both that killed no one, indeed hardly injured anyone except the terrorist with a knife. A few days before, a young fellow, apparently again another man obsessed with a woman, killed 5 people, 4 women and a man with a long gun in a mall. But the debate of the Titans was last night, so there wasn't much lamestream time to think about mass murder, especially since both candidates favor the terror war, so central to the current breakdown of law and order. Nowhere is this more apparent than in Syria, where the U.S. military repeatedly bombed in at least 4 separate attacks, killing 62 soldiers and wounding over 100, the Syrian army in positions they had held for months, just a couple days before the U.S. generals were supposed to start sharing intelligence with the Russians per the ceasefire agreement former Mass Senator John Kerry, now Secretary of State, brokered with the Russians. Now, the Russians and the Syrian army have surrounded the rebels, Islamists, Al-Qaeda, Islamic State, ISIS, ISIL, and are closing in on them, and the civilians trapped in East Aleppo, all cut off now with them. And meanwhile, back at the ranch again, 2 more cases of police shooting unarmed black men have been litigated for days by demonstrations, actually largely peaceful, with local clergy and civic leaders deployed as peacekeepers. Yet Fox No News compares the demonstrations to the rebellions riots of the 1960s. And this forces me to remember being overseas in Okinawa playing pool in day room with cities all across America in flames after the assassination of Martin Luther King. When I got out of the army a few months later, my whole extended family who I visited growing up were all gone from the city, and there was no one left to visit there ever again. However, this was just a prophecy of the mass migrations that would drive 40 to 50% of the people out of the industrial towns of Michigan's Southeast Corridor, Saginaw, Flint, Pontiac, Detroit, now all just hulks of their former manufacturing selves. Flint, of course, just had their old plumbing corroded after a state-appointed manager shepherded them into a privatized water scheme that had them paying 3 times rates of most places in the country when they lived dead in the center of the Great Lakes, the largest bodies of fresh water on the face of planet Earth. Subsequently, a similar series of public health disasters were found in multiple other places around the U.S., that is us. Yet even as chronic, hardcore poverty has skyrocketed since Clinton ended welfare as we knew it and intensified by the Great Recession of '08 of the Bush-Cheney regime, crime rates remain at levels half what they were during the Reagan counter-revolution or Nixon's days of silent majority drug war on hippies and black people law and order. We flee to reality TV. You better watch out. Reality TV will get thee. If you don't flee reality TV. Reality TV will get thee. Yep. And we watch the debate of the Titans. And I remember again those Titans who preceded the more anthropomorphic Olympian pantheon, the poor Atlas, who was put to bearing the burden of the whole all one thing world on his bent back, even though back in adolescent fantasy it was impossible to imagine any way to conjure this strange god a place on which to stand. No peace without justice, no justice without peace, no possible future without peace, no possible feast without justice. Yes, peace and justice are an existential necessity in time of nuclear annihilation and global ecological collapse. No justice, no peace, no life, no freedom in a perpetual war that is everywhere on the planet in the global war of, by, and for terror, which is nothing at all but a cruel joke of torture, juggling innocence. Thank you.
Thank you, James. And I just realized, because she had come in late, I forgot to bring, and because she was eating probably too, I didn't want to be rude. I forgot to bring up Patricia Kerrigan. So it
Okay.
actually should
I'm
be
gonna
you
read-
fishing out the round robin.
Okay. Haiku duet for Justice Ginsburg. Lashana Tova. Bitter herbs mixed with honey. Kaddish for justice. Baruch Dayan Hamet. We become notorious like R, G, B, G. Baruch Dayan Hayamet. I'm not pronouncing it right. Means blessed is the true God, true judge in Hebrew.
Thank you, Patricia. And I'm going to unmute. Actually,
Remute.
looks like, I might have to go looking for Carol. She may have, we may have lost her. I only just noticed that now. But for now, let's bring back the number 2 should become our number 1 to start things off. Let's bring up Mr. Bill Lewis.
Well, I was not expecting this honor. I thought that I should certainly be number 2. What is it? I'm number 9, you're number 1? Oh, no, I'm number 2, you're number 9. That's what it was. Well, I shall let the political things go for the moment and do something happy. If yeah, just happy. I mean, everybody has something that makes them happy. And so, yeah. So as many of you know, I am a hang glider pilot. I flew out over the hill today. The air was strong and warm and full of lift. The whole valley was full of lift. Everything said fly. So I flew out over the hill. Beyond lay another valley and another hill. I touched my wings in the new valley. I touched my wing into sink. I lost 100, then 200, then 500 feet. Then I ran across the hill back to Dunlap Valley. Dunlap, where you could let go the bar and drift, climbing at 200 feet a minute without a turn. High and fat and happy, I cruised Dunlap up and down. I turned lazy circles in the sky, then figures eights, wing overs and chandelles. Just a boy in the shallow end, splashing and playing, while somewhere deeper lay deeper water. I flew out over a hill again. I touched my wing into sink. I looked out over the foreign valley, searching for signs of thermal, signs of lift. A hot asphalt road, a house, a tree. The broad expanse of gleaming metal on a barn roof. All triggers just waiting for me before they shoot grand columns of hot air into the sky. A mile, 2, then 5 across the valley I fly. The triggers all laugh at me as I pass by and sink, as I pass by and drop and drop. At 500 feet, I choose a landing zone. At 200 feet, I start my approach. At 200 feet, I turn final and feel a bounce. At 100 feet, I get a bounce. I push out, I slow, I get a bounce, 20 up, then 50 down, and up and down. I turn flat circles on final, hoping to extend my flight. A bounce, a pocket, a bounce, a pocket. At 200 feet, I find a core and turn into it. 50 up and 50 up. Then 60 and 70, 80, 90, 100 up. I pop my wing and turn steeply into the lift. 60 degrees, pull 2 G's, and I push and pop and shove my wing. I sweat and strain and push and gain 100, 200, 500 feet per minute. The valley recedes as I ascend and gleam cloud base. Cloud base, the Valhalla of free flight. I sit above the world and peer down upon the mortals below. Cloud base, I'm high and happy and safe. I flew out over a new hill today. I left the new valley behind and turned downwind to find another, to glide past men who walk on the ground, to slip over the houses and orchards and fields, to pass blind into new valleys, over heads of sheep, over boys on bicycles who shout and cheer and chase me as far as they can, staring enchanted at the magic of flight as I wave and pass on. What dreams do those boys dream? Boys who see men flying not in boxes but with wings, not tearing the sky apart with great roaring engines, but flying the thermals with birds, as birds. What do those boys think? 50 miles and 5 valleys later, I meet a hill that won't let me pass. I cruise its face looking for lift that doesn't come. 50, 100 feet over, I can see across it into the setting sun, but I cannot pass so low. The eddies and swirls of the lee-side rotors will spin me and bat me like a cat's toy, smashing me to the ground. So I strove, cruise, and struggle and gain and lose. I gain and lose and lose and lose. The creeping shadows of approaching night turn off my triggers, shut down my lift. I set up for final on a farmer's field. Not a growing field, not a field with cattle, just an empty pasture by his house. His kids spot me and come running to watch. Tomorrow they will say that a man fell out of the sky by their house, but their friends won't believe them. Not until they show them the pictures. Pictures of they themselves swinging in my harness underneath my wing, dreaming of when they too shall fly, half man, half bird. A dark road and a long hitch await me after they share their dinner with me, and after I regale them all with stories of mountains I've flown, birds I've shared thermals with, pilots I've known. Afterwards, I admonish the children to always keep their wits about them. Avoid the lee-side rotor. Never launch into a dying thermal. Wash your wing behind its nose. Good rules for flying. Good rules for life. The farmer shakes my hand as he drops me by the main road. The kids yell and wave as they watch a pilot, their pilot, turn and fade into the darkness of the night.
Thank you, James. And now, thanks to the quick phone call, we have back my choice for next Supreme Court Justice, Carol Weston, back again. I'm going to unmute her, and now she is unmuted and she can read another poem if she likes.
Okay, thank you. Children, toward what are your investigations? To Charles, age 7. You who bend over the book with the hugest questions on earth, toward what are your investigations? Do not let them flatten you into their society, where they try to make puzzle piece sizes for your entry. Walk instead, full of the strangeness of yourself, and blow up by the radiance of your questions the walls of their settled society. Do not fit like a strange puzzle piece into their niches, but create for yourself a radiance satisfied with no given trail, and blaze down the root of the question to the end of it, where there is no end, but continual opening. There the landscapes become huger, and the daily interactions, although always slightly painful and peculiar, are relieved by the power of the vision and the trail it blazes. That's all.
Thank you, Carol.
Yeah.
Good.
Thank you very much, Carol. We're going to bring us now back to John Wizik.
Okay. This is 1,000 Jennifers. Guitar slung like a rebel's gun, running shoes stomping rhythm on the stage. She's all business, and that business is rock and roll. More than tits and ass for drunken frat boys, no longer hidden behind the bass. Her voice bursts the amp, showering the mosh pit with silicon fragments. And I would see 1,000 Jennifers, all in comfortable shoes, in honky-tonks and concert halls, speaking with authority about antenna models, grease-stained changing transmissions in wood-paneled boardrooms and cyclotron labs. She says she'll never go back, but son would chain her to a diaper pail when father's salaries can't even pay trailer park rent. Neckbeard preachers, leering judges, senators with rusty coat hangers, homes for girls in trouble, that end of the month panic. Life begins at conception and ends at birth.
Very nice. And we're going to bring ourselves now to, Mr. Eric Tate. Are you ready, sir? Oh, there you are.
Yep, ready. And this one I wrote because lately I've been hearing a lot of demonizing of Democrats. I'm not sure if that's how it goes in Boston, but here in North Carolina, that they do a lot of that. But I was writing this poem about that. Doomsday Effect. Reagan was in the White House. I was old enough that I'd started to listen during church services, and some of the teachings began to sink in. A particular interest was the talk of the end of the world, the fire and brimstone speeches meant to put the fear of God into a congregation. Already in those days, conservative Christians were demonizing Democrats, and I remember words delivered from the pulpit with the oratory certainty of a prophecy to the effect that a Democrat would usher in the end of days, a surefire sign that the days of the earth are numbered, and we should begin to get our affairs in order. The final straw would be a Democrat occupying the White House. Well then, in my young mind, the solution to stave off the end of the world was simple enough, but clearly this message, delivered so plainly a child could understand it, was meant for the registered voters filling the pews, who, for all their collective singing and rejoicing over the second coming, were personally in no hurry to witness the day of reckoning. To delay the destruction of the world, all we had to do was make sure to keep a Republican in the White House. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. And we do get that here too, although it's a little bit more secretive talk. But believe me, every time I go home to Bellingham, I hear it. But anyway, we are heading now to the end of the halfway point of we're the third way down. And the next person we're going to bring up, and hopefully she has another poem for us. It's Nancy Dodson. Nancy, press *6 and let's hear what you got. There you are.
Acid values. How many values have fallen down? There should be a day of recognition, but alas, no funds to make me smile, and the disadvantaged need their pay. Yes, now and every day we come to see money is money, a way of life for us all to have. Food is food and must be bought, as well as clothing suitable for occasions. And you might be blessed by passing every test until one fortunately lodges in security and rest. I want to pass everything in sight, good Lord. I have no right to ask, but favor me a little. Thank you, Lord. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Nancy. And up next, let's bring back John Stickney, whose work you can read on oddballmagazine.com today. I believe his work is at the top of the page if you go to oddballmagazine.com, so I hope you do. And here's John.
Another poem for RBG. Lady Liberty. Somehow I have turned into an old Jewish woman wearing a black robe with a jabot and one heck of a collared necklace. Thanks.
That's another one of the 4 poems he put up there. If you want to see the rest, go to oddballmagazine.com tonight. Deanna, well, I don't sense any motivation to jump up to the mic. So let's just have a few more seconds of silence for Breonna Taylor and the people in her home state who are currently protesting the police not getting charged for her death. And thanks for the inspiration, Dee. We have up next, Ethan, do you want to go make another go of it? I think you just put the thumb up. You'll need to unmute.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Thank you so much, Ethan. And it looks like Deanna does want to read something. So if she is ready, she is more than welcome to do so.
Thank you so much, Chad. I'm ready. I'd like to try this one. Okay, here I go. So she's dancing in a chair. He writes today and says he's sorry for the abuse. He promises to control his temper, as if willing it could instantly change decades of violent reactions. And so she's dancing in a chair, dancing nonetheless. It's safer that way. He can't, he won't hurt her in a chair. He never did. One had to be able to run from him. Can't run on crutches, so she settles for dancing in a chair. As if he could control his outbursts, wishing, hoping, and taking no chances, so she keeps dancing in some chair. Will she ever let go of this crutch? Will she ever feel safe enough to glide through the air? What exactly does it mean, this dancing in a chair? What's the block? Afraid to talk? So many dances in her, sitting there, screaming to come out. Yet she keeps dancing in the chair. Let go, she weeps. The pain's too deep. The anger holds her still. Someday she will. But in the meantime, she's dancing in some chair, any floor, against any wall, trying to crawl, to get away, to not be the prey, not sure she has the right. Guess when she's ready, she'll fight. Then she'll be throwing the chair. She'll be the one to fear. No more dancing in some chair, dancing upright and strong. No strangers come along. Self-assured, she's in the know, letting her true self show as she's dancing, dancing, dancing in the air.
Thanks a lot, Dee.
Thank you.
We have next. Oh, is Jan, does Jan have something else she wants to read, or just want to give her the opportunity? I know she's usually one.
Hey, honey.
Just one shot, Chad, for her.
Okay. Thank you, Jan. We'll see you next time. And up next, let's welcome up for another round, Mr. CCR Chagra.
Here we go. Okay. I think I should make, even though it was way long time ago, this is the 20th anniversary of the 3-part series, The Open Mic Poems from the turn of the century. And I'm putting them together again, and it's just a matter of time of when to release them and with all that's going on. But once upon a time I've written very little confessional poetry, and although this is not really of that ilk, it sort of is. And in light of losing our Supreme Court Justice human being here, who had to fight her whole life just to say that women are people too, which is kind of a sad testimony to who we are as a life form. So this is that we are all born of women kind of gratitude thing. It's called She Is My Woman's Soul, Birthing Life Shares Here. I say here, she's my woman of soul birthing mind. Beyond gender, sex, seed, and the weight of life's carry, she comes. There's no cold, our sacred chill, real love. She literally shakes my soul, marrows, mind, body. She's a soul resident. To share my form gives her a fulfilling lifespan, a freed private existence. Within questions warm, embraced answers coming fearlessly, and away moments are always gratitude being. I spend my adult life to live in her love's touch, and die ever now for her, to become the shared love of life. And always true love coming to go, be equivalent of tears that will laugh, clear through fears once believed in, to hear not again the words, I am not your possession. So on and on, there is no moment love is not made. She is my woman's soul, birthing life shares here. And that's called the Sleep Monster Poems, believe it or not. It's I don't like writing confessional poetry, but this is like number 50, and I did this maybe in 2015, 16, and I wrote these series of poems because I decided to finally let poetry be my doctor and my work. And that was at the tail end of this whole pile of series called The Sleep Monster Poems, which goes back to my childhood violin box, which I'm about to open and lay on a couch and talk to you for a while about. No, I'm not.
Oh my.
Thank you for laughing.
Thank you. Thank you, CC. And our second to last person for tonight, we have some haiku from our resident haiku expert, Patricia Kerrigan.
This is more of a cheerful nature. Hope this damn thing doesn't crash. Okay. Census 2020. Can't count your chickens even before they hatch. Census 2020. Kitty thinks she's family, but she's not. That's it. A little cheerful.
I don't associate your job with cheerfulness, but I'm glad you could get
No,
something.
it was a. I don't want to. I can't go into this. What I went through today.
No worries. No worries.
No words.
But thanks for the work that you do. And we're going to close out once again. Again, check out his column this coming Thursday morning, 11 o'clock without fail. It's Mr. James Van Looy.
Thank you. So let me just sing a little song here. And let us dedicate it to the 1968 Memphis I Am a Man strike, which actually was caused, and that slogan came out of the fact that those workers, the people who picked up the trash in Memphis, weren't allowed any protective gear, and they weren't allowed to take any kind of cover. And 2 of them were actually killed in the back of one of these big trucks, when somehow the mechanism that compacted the trash was activated when they tried to seek some kind of cover in a major rainstorm. So you might want to think about that image in mind. How many roads must a man walk down before they call him a man? How many seas must a white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? And how many times must the cannonballs fly before they're forever banned? The answer, my friend, is blown in the wind. The answer is blown in the wind. How many years can a mountain exist before it is washed to the sea? How many years can a people exist before they're allowed to be free? How many times can a man turn his head and pretend that he just doesn't see? The answer, my friend, is blown in the wind. The answer is blown in the wind. How many times must a man look up before he can see the sky? How many years must one man have before he can hear people cry? And how many deaths will it take to be known that too many people have died? The answer, my friend, is blown in the wind. The answer is blown in the wind.
Thank you so much, James. And with that, I will conclude tonight's feature. I can guarantee at least one feature in the next 1 to 2 weeks. Elizabeth Gordon McKim has expressed interest in featuring For those who don't know, Elizabeth Gordon McKim is a poet in the North Shore. She's been in several books and anthologies. If you look through the YouTube enough, you will find an archive of her reading alongside Etheridge Knight. So this is how long she's been in the game. This is how anticipated this new book of hers being written. We might even be talking about her contributing to Oddball on a regular basis, but that might not happen until I get a more regular schedule after the move, because I got a lot on my plate. But would like to include her work on this, especially since it wouldn't be just like a poetry column. I guess she's been writing prose about the history of her home area. So that might be what the essay, what the column would be. So we're excited about that. And I do encourage you to not only check out Oddball Magazine for the what's pretty much been a whole entire week since Sunday till now, and it's going to end mostly on Thursday, although the columnists on Friday may add their own touches. But I think the final poems that we're asking for are going to be published Thursday morning and Thursday afternoon, and then Bruce Wise and Janet Cormier, our columnists for Oddball, might add their own little epilogues, but though they're not required to. But it's been an amazing run of poets. Too many people to name, too many people to remember. And today was really good because we usually have only 2 contributors. On a Wednesday, we had 4. And thanks to contributors like Sue Lilly, Eric N. Peterson, and more, including people that Joshua Corwin was able to reach out to. We not only had a great week this week, but we might have some regular contributors of artwork and photography again. Some new ones to help offset the burden that our regulars already do on a bi-weekly basis. And if you know anyone who's interested in contributing or are interested in contributing yourself, definitely check out oddballmagazine.com for the guidelines. And above all, keep on publishing wherever you can. There's a lot of amazing places: Headline Poetry and Press, New Pages, which is a blogspot website, The Alien, I believe it's now all of a sudden I forgot the name of the site. I believe Alien Buddha Press. Yes.
Can you put these in the chat, and then we could hit the 3 little buttons and save the chat?
I'm gonna put a couple of them onto Facebook because
Okay.
I also got word of a new place that's taking poetry as well. Their name is Bonfire Lit, and they're accepting submissions through Submittable. I don't think they've even put out their first issue yet, so that's exciting. But the point is, just look around. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people crying for a voice right now. There's a lot of people looking for an outlet. You will find yours. If not an Oddball, then definitely at least a half a dozen sites. If you throw a rock, you're going to hit like 5 new journals, and you're going to hit a bunch of them who are looking to publish relevant work based on what's going on today and what unfortunately may continue to go on well past this dumpster fire of a year, 2020. To call it a dumpster fire of a year is almost an insult to dumpster fires, because I called 2016 a dumpster fire. I don't know what this is. Is this a dumpster fire? Is this a fire on a dumpster tied to a plane that's going crashing into a gas tank in the middle of big Boston? I don't know what to call it. It's.
I've been going with wake up and smell the eugenics.
Yeah. Dear Lord, thanks everyone for coming week after week. Spread the word. There are going to be features again. I promise you that. And I will be doing my best to keep us updated, and hopefully there won't be more derails. We're going to do the wave now because other people are getting antsy.
I got to call my boss. I got a call from him.
Thank you guys very much for coming tonight. We wait for
thank you, Chad.
We wait for a still photo, which I publish at the
Thank you, Chad.
And have yourself a very good night, and we'll see you next week without fail, or mostly without fail, on from 7 to 9 every Wednesday, barring crazy crises. I'll talk to you soon, and have yourself a good night. Show's over. See you next.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Be safe.
Thank you,
I
everyone.
got to call my
Good
boss.
to see everybody. Nice work.
Bye.